Hello, everyone. My name is Navas. I'm an interdisciplinary artist, and I've been working here at the Torpedo factory for the past month and a half. And I can't wait to show you what I've been working on. During my time at my residency, I've been making these paper sculptures or paper vessels, and then embedded within the walls of the vessels are red and black beans. And so I've been leaving these paper sculptures outside where the beans can begin to take root and sprout upwards. So for this project, I'm using a tripod vessel form, which is a basic jar form with three legs attached to the bottom. And this form originated in the ancient city of Teotihuacan in Mesoamerica. And over time, the Aztecs and Mayans adopted the same form for themselves. And it's really interesting to see how the form transformed and changed over time. Over the past year or two, I've been really interested in how different patterns and forms and visual language, even literature and music throughout Meso and Latin America have changed, transformed, and even gotten lost over time. And so, by taking this form used hundreds of years ago, I'm reconnecting to my ancestral past, cycles of adopting and transforming, as well as finding and exploring new contemporary ideas with the vessel form. The reason I'm working with red and black beans are because these are the foods that I grew up on. Um, all my parents being from El Salvador, they would cook frijoles all the time, as well as make pupusas, which are a staple Salvadorian food. And so my dad would also grow frijoles in the garden, but most of our frijoles came from El Salvador because each year my parents would visit, and when they came back, they would bring a sack of frijoles because they it was more meaningful for them to be eating frijoles from their home countries that have been grown at home. And so I grew up finding that meaningful and very purposeful. Quick side note: frijoles is just the way that my family says beans at home, so that's why I'm interchanging the word. So here I'm showing you examples of the tripod vessels which have been unearthed from these ancient ruins in Mexico. So the very first one I'm showing you is one that originated from the city of Teotihuacan. And so, like I mentioned, the Mayans, who were quite a distance away, adopted the same form. And it's really interesting to see how the Mayans adopted the form and how the Aztecs adopted the form. And so, the examples I'm showing you, the Mayans were much more elaborate and decorative with the physical structure of the legs, just as elaborate with the visual forms painted on the surface. And then here are a couple examples of how the Aztecs kind of went in this completely different route, where their legs were much more rounded at the tip, and even had much more abstract features painted on the vessels. So here are a time lapse of my process, and basically I take these old drawings that I have that really didn't lead anywhere, and I just reuse that paper and convert it, put it in a tear it up, put it in a blender, and then convert it into paper pulp, and then I just remake that into paper. I'll also use cardboard within the inner structure of the vessel, and that just involves tearing up cardboard and making it into pulp. And so my process of making these basically involves using a plastic container and getting my cardboard bits or pulp and mixing it in with wheat paste. And wheat paste is just flour and water boiled together, and it makes this really strong adhesive once dried. And so I'll mix the wheat paste, the cardboard pulp, and the black beans all together, and I'll apply that to the surface of the container. And then as a final um, way to encapsulate everything, I'll apply the paper, my handmade paper, to the surface, starting on the bottom and then applying the final finish on the sides. And then finally, I'll begin to carve the wood legs. And that's just experimental. I'm still coming up with different forms and ideas, either inspired by Mesoamerica societies or I'm looking at it from a minimal view. So that's still experimental. So I want to show you some of the drawings I've been working on this residency. And I'm big on drawing. I love drawing. And usually drawing for me is always finding a way to express myself or express an idea. Um, or sometimes my drawings can be even non-representational. So these drawings that I've been working on have really come out of nowhere. And I'm not really sure what I'm trying to resolve with these drawings. But as I was making this video, and I was thinking about how dense and packed these were, these drawings reminded me of cellular structures. Um, and thinking on a micro level. And so this kind of leads me into thinking about how these drawings are responding to the world and what we're going through now with the pandemic. Um, but usually, I want to talk about a little bit about my artist practice, and that my drawings and artist practice are on a spectrum. On one side, I have my very abstract work, which is sometimes can be even non-representational, and then on the other side, I have my narrative-based work, which is based on themes of identity, music, color, and stuff like that. And I'm always interested in finding those areas of in between where I can combine both narrative based work and the abstract. And so here I'm showing you drawings of the vessels that I've been making within that same drawing style. And so then here are some drawings that were a breakaway from the previous line drawings. Because the line drawings are so meticulous, I had to take a break and just be much more expressive and loose with my drawings. And so this was a response to those. As a final note, I just want to say that I'm just experimenting with a lot of these ideas and forms, and I have more questions and answers. I'm still very interested in how I can continue to transform and change different kind of visual forms and languages from the past into these new contemporary ideas. And then, even with doing this video, thinking about what these line drawings are a response to and what they mean and how what they are, right? Again, more questions and answers. And so this is going to continue to develop further. And I feel like it's still in the early stages. Nothing is finished. And so, you should stick around and see what happens. And